Hey guys, I'm Vineesha, the president and executive director of WISE, Women in Showbiz Everywhere, and I am completely overwhelmed with the response of Lost Lady screening at once again our collaboration with USC, and it is house full thanks to you guys. You have warmed our hearts, and I'm going to say thank you on behalf of Geo Studios as well, and their team. Thank you so much for showing so much love to this movie that is now India's official entry to the 2025 Academy Awards. Let's hear it for them. 3 cheers. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Cannot wait for you guys to share your insights with the legendary actor, producer himself, AAMIR Khan, who's here amongst us. And I cannot wait to see what your reaction is to him and Kiran Rao and Jyoti Deshpande, who's here from Geo Studios. We cannot wait, guys, to talk to you. Thank you so much for warming our hearts and filling each and every seat. We have people waiting outside the auditorium. It has been an overwhelming response. Thank you for your love and support for this movie. Let's go, Lost Ladies!
After the film, we have a Q&A with the director, Kiran Rao, and producer, AAMIR Khan.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Vineesha, and I founded this little organization called Women in Showbiz Everywhere, WISE. It started in 2023 when I had a really good friend who was also in the Oscar run. If some of you have seen The Elephant Whisperers, Kartiki Gonzalez is a really good friend. So I was just finding that there wasn't much support for women. There should be a place where there could be resources for women who come from outside and bring their movies here. And they can't call it a home. And so I thought, well, let me change that, because I was a filmmaker over here making movies and I didn't get that support. So hence came a wise idea, right? And lo and behold, we started this organization, which blew up. We started doing various different things. We have networking mixers that we do. We had Kartiki won Elephant Whisperers in Guneet Manga, so 3 cheers to that, a film that we had supported. So that was wonderful. And Alex has been great. We do a lot of screenings here in partnership with them under Our Lady with a Film showcases. We're coming up with awesome labs and workshops that are going to be traveling across USA. So that's exciting. We just opened a New Jersey chapter after LA. We're going to Mumbai and London next. We're doing great things. So guys, follow us. wiseonline.org, that's us. And today we are welcoming Lost Ladies, a film that we championed and brought to LA in March of 2023 as part of our 1-year celebrations. And we're so honored and so pleased with this little movie with a big heart, which blew up. We're so excited for it. And I'm so excited for you guys to watch it and do the live Q&A. We had a virtual one last time in March over here. And, because Kiran was traveling and, the film was just growing slowly from pillar to post everywhere. And then it went international. And then guess what? This happened. And we're so excited to have them and to host them one more time with USC. So I hope you guys enjoy the film, and yes, stick around for the Q&A. It's gonna be great. Enjoy.
We had Rakesh Umprashana right here that really shook students' views. Out we had an apathy. We had students very involved in politics since then. I think he can take some credit for that. 3 idiots about Pratik is through broad, but he's done Earth. My favorite is Angila. There's also Kulam. He founded AAMIR Khan Productions. The first one was Lagan. This is nominated for Bro. Which is, what has it been like? I mean, Amrit Dubai here with Lagan. Did you, Kiran, were you also here with Lagan?
And back into circulation, we're also a film that released more than 6 months ago on the 1st of March. It's been on Netflix for almost 6 months. I feel hopeful. I really made this film to connect with a lot of people, to spark conversations about things I'm very passionate about. And I'm hoping that this Oscar journey will do that, sort of take us to new audiences and open new knowledge.
So, Amrit, you've taken all your work, you've pushed boundaries, you've taken risks, and 99.9% they've all paid off. I mean, you did Lagan, 4 hours long, set in colonial times, Dangal, you've also done very female-forward films, and now even major studios in Hollywood, even though they will, since Wonder Woman, Everything Everywhere, they're still willing to not take the risk many times with, female kind of protagonists, censored films. So when you saw this, did you think it was a bit risky? Did you had any kind of cautionaries, to make it accessible, don't be too socially sure? Did you have any words to say, or I'm standing behind this?
No, I just loved it. I thought it was just so good. There was nothing other than the fact that, we had certain points we wanted to work on in draft 2, and, as we reached the final draft, but I just loved the story. It's such an amazing story. And
even more than that, he gave me the freedom to cast it with no stars. I'm saying it's a risk. People consider it a risk to do sort of women-oriented stories or whatever they are, or niche. But he was like, cast it the way. That's even more risky, right?
But I always felt that a great story is a great story, and it doesn't matter whether it's about, from a marketing point of view or from an audience point of view. When you ask, is it risky? I feel a great story is a great story. It doesn't matter whether it's about, a human being or an alien as the PK, or, it's a good story, it could be about a man, about a woman, So for me, a good story is a good story. And here was this film, a story that was also saying such important things about lives of women and, what they have to often go through. And it was saying it in such a disarming way, and with so much humor and with so much hope, that I just fell in love with it. So, and it's very, I often don't, it's very difficult to predict what an audience will like. Or, when I did Tare Zameen Par, I had no idea that a film on dyslexia is going to become such a huge success. Or for that matter, Rang De Basanti, which you mentioned earlier, it was the 5th remake of Bhagat Singh and Azad in 1 year. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So, by all logic, it shouldn't have worked. I remember when I said yes to Rang De Basanti, my sister called up. She used to live in New York, I think, at that time. And she says, so have you signed any films? So in my family, it's a bit for an occasion when I say yes to a film. So I said, yes, I had actually said yes to a film. She said, what is it? I said, it's the 5th remake of Bhagat Singh and Azad. So she said, you're kidding? I said, no, I'm not, it is. So, you have to go with what touches you. And yeah, that's what I've done. I like to go with my instinct. And I don't want to second guess an audience. And actually, when I'm reading the script, that's like me as an audience watching a film. So if I react to it well and touches me, connects with me, then I want to do it. What I do is I try and keep these films like Tare Zameen Par, or for that matter, Lost Ladies or People Light, these films that I've made, we try and keep the budget as small as possible, so that the film shouldn't be economically unviable. But other than that, we just go for it.
Then they become sleeper hits.
Yeah, that's so far. Yeah,
no convert. This film was, Jyoti, and maybe this is all of you, it released theatrically too, though, right? Because I heard somewhere, Karan Johar, I think, was saying, in India, horror comedy works as a theatrical release, and big superstar movie work as a theatrical release, but everything else rom-coms, and you would think of this then as a streaming kind of a show. So what was the thinking behind Theatrical and what were the circuits? Did it do everything or did it go to some rather than the others?
So it was not a 3,500 screen release. It was a narrow, just under 1,000 screen release. But I think all three of us were very convinced that this is a theatrical movie. It's extremely entertaining and it's going to grow with word of mouth. See, the other side of the story is even if you put AAMIR Khan in it or any other big star, if the audience don't connect with the movie, it's gone on the Monday. So the same applies to small movies that work. They grow with, and like I was saying, social media. You can spend all the marketing dollars you want, but on the day of the release, the truth is out. And the audience verdict is out whether they like a movie. So I want to tell you a small story about this film. After 8 weeks, I mean, it did well. And it was getting very popular word of mouth. And of course, India, in the theaters in the interior of India, we still don't have. So it's almost like a plexi kind of a release. But the film had hit Netflix on the 8th week. And it completely went off the charts on Netflix. It was the top movie for a month on Netflix. And even though higher productions, and I won't name them, we're not friends here. They came along with a lot of fanfare, but they couldn't displace, Lost Ladies. And ironically, it started working better in the theaters when it was on Netflix. So it continued in the theaters for another 8 weeks. So it did about 100 days plus in the theaters. So all three of us were very clear that it should have a theatrical date.
And I think a lot of it is just enjoying it together, right? Enjoying the laughs together. I think those are some of the pleasures. So I was thinking of some of the pleasure points in this film for me that, the things that I love that are also in this film. I had, many of the tropes that I really enjoy. So for instance, the outsider comes in and changes things for the better, right? So I was thinking of Bawarchi with Rajesh Khanna, Rishikesh Mukherjee, and Khoobsurat with Rekha by Rishikesh Mukherjee. Then I was thinking of the kind of transformation story, makeover with Pool and how she goes through an inner transformation. Then there's the I Should Lost and Found that, with Yadon Ki Barat and other India resonates with people who grew up with 1970s. Chaudhary Ka Chand as well is like a tragic, not a comedy of errors, but a tragedy of errors. And, that's a male friendship rather than female friendship, so there's a resonance. And even Wife Swap in a TV series, I don't know if anyone's seen that. So, Kiran, I was thinking that, clearly there's some conscious influences, and now you see the film and you think of, I'm pulling from this, and I'm inspired by this, and I'm changing it and making it my own. What are some of those influences on you?
I'm ashamed to admit I don't watch enough cinema, so I don't have that many cinematic influences. I mean, I went to film school, so of course I've seen all the masters, but my influences come more from sort of photography and literature. I guess I grew up around stills a lot more than film. I grew up in an era when we had black and white televisions. We didn't get movies more than, once a week on Sundays, on Doordarshans and things like that. So, yeah, I'm a dinosaur. So it was... So it wasn't so much the moving image as much as the still image.
And actually, your films, even Mumbai Diaries, I feel like there's a R.K. Lakshman cartoons which had with very subtle sketch cuts, but tell these very profound things about people's interactions. Or even R.K. Narayan, like those kinds of sketches. So really admire all your work. So where are you? Maybe we can talk a little bit about the characters and how, since it was based on two brides, because I feel like I'd be interested in hearing what you got from that and how you kind of develop and change it. Because even the most minor character, Bela's barely there, but you have like this passing reference to sports quota and brings a smile to your face, right? So, clearly you wanted to bring the female friendship. And I'll just say one of my favorite scenes is in the kitchen where, Yashoda has made Kamal Kapuri and she's appreciated for the first time for something she's made. And she's like, now you're going to start appreciating my food, but, giving her this joy. And at the same time, you have, I think, Jaya giving the artwork and, drawing material to Poonam. And there's this moment saying we're not just Saas and Trahu can be friends. So clearly that's something. Was that in the original? Is that something you worked to pull out more? What was that process of Prisoners?
Yeah, so the original didn't have a lot of these characters or these arcs. That was one of the things that I really wanted to bring into the story because it had all the bones for it. When we brought Sneha on, we actually had long conversations about this, about the need to kind of represent different kinds of experiences that women have at different stages in their lives, represent, women who perhaps are from, have, like a younger woman like Poonam, the one who sketches, who, who's happy to be married perhaps, and even Pool, but also have a Manju mind, for instance, who
She's great.
we really wanted to have as an example of a woman who lives on her own terms, is financially independent, can represent successfully a single woman, So these things were something that Sneha and I discussed a lot while we were looking at what we wanted to retain from the original script and what we wanted to add, especially the arcs of the characters, because Pool, actually, even though she seems like she doesn't say much, and her arc is actually the bigger one. She's far more transformed by the end of the film, and Jaya's character also was very different in the original. She didn't have any of the mystery that this story has. So, but the friendships between women was something I think Sneha brought out beautifully through her writing. She's, it's, I think, a very important part of what we wanted to talk about, the fact that women must support each other and are there to sort of this sorority, this kind of sisterhood that gives you the strength to take that step to, and also to encourage people to have that, because we are so accustomed in soap opera and televisions to watch women going at each other. And Sneha will tell you shamefacedly that she writes some of those shows. So she's been there and she's seen how that works. And really we wanted to kind of present the alternative. So it's a lot of Sneha, it's a lot of Belaji that Funab, to bring it up, was written. The Manohar and all his chaps in the police station, including Belaji, were kind of created by the writer who came on to do additional dialogue, Divinidhi Sharma, who came on for actually the dialect, but he tweaked that whole cop character for us, and you have Manohar and Delaji, who with that sports quota is just the best. And he wrote some of those lovely scenes like the I Love You scene. So yes, it's actually all of it is the result also of lots of really great writers. Biplab's original, Sneha, and Divyanid, we all three brought so much to all these layers in these characters.
Last year with the dialogue, and now that you mentioned, she also writes those kind of dialogues. Like when the mother says, "Yahan se kahi do nahi jayegi ya nili ati," that's your either your Kalankun will go from here or my future possession. You can hear that in like an 80s Hindi film, "Main tere bacche ki maan banne wali" kind of music. But it's also important that you have sort of that, so that, again, you're talking to audiences, but how do you make the change? You have to make it in concrete ways, and you have Jaya asking questions, but the film asking questions.
Also typical Indian parents. I mean, emotional blackmail.
And they do that. I think the locations were also fantastic, and I don't know if Ahmed and Jopi, if you also had input in that, or if that was Kiran and your teams, because just, the courtyard where there's competition, then kitchen, the camaraderie starts building, the stall. I think you really thought about how that would be plotted across the dramatic scenes.
Yeah, so actually, again, I was very fortunate to be allowed to shoot on location and to find locations that would sort of give us these spaces to inhabit, and this outdoor kitchen where people, which is actually the case when we went to the village, we actually found that the kitchens were very odd. We actually had to build that kitchen anew. It wasn't there. Where the kitchen was where the cows used to be tied actually. So we rebuilt it, but you know, having the luxury of a house, a village house that we could work with. As a director, I'm really grateful that I got that, because then we could really reimagine, like you said, this tree around which a lot of the drama happens. The bride is welcomed, and then the arrest happens, and you know, it's kind of becomes a pivotal sort of kind of point in the whole house. You know, this kind of focus, and then the kitchen and the stall, but also, like, you know, these spaces that women traditionally inhabit, you know, the fact that also women mostly, especially in the villages, never get a moment of rest. So that one moment after dinner when they're talking is probably the only time after eating and before, you know, cleaning up, that the mother-in-law and, you know, sitting and talking. So those spaces were very important, I felt, to actually, you know, sort of take you a little bit deeper, like a little bit of that interiority of characters and their relationships. And it was, you know, I was very fortunate to be able to shoot in these lovely villages and in these houses.
So, you know, we talked about the range of women and female friendships. I can a quick note also that there's a range of masculinities in the film as well. I mean, you had Pipu, who's very innocent but loving and supportive. And, you know, comes out in many different ways. And, of course, Pradeep, who's the complete, you know, the abuser, criminal, really. But the cop is really interesting. I mean, you don't really know if he's going to change the cop. And then, you know, we had that twist. I want to talk about casting in a second, but I think I also asked AAMIR, and you played a whole range of roles. So they say you played an Ulyan, you played Dil Chahta Hai, the kind of, you know, upstart and prankster kind of person, also going through an arc of a change. So many different multiplicity of characters. And the sleazy musician in Secret Superstar. So I was wondering, like, and you've spoken in multiple accents as well. Is there any that you have really enjoyed doing, that has really resonated, some that, you know, was challenging for you, given that, you know, there's such a wide range?
Oh, well, actually, I've enjoyed doing a lot of these characters. Each one is different, challenges you differently. But I have to say, I really enjoyed the character of Secret Superstar. Because I got to do stuff that I can never do in real life. You like compete ass. So I really enjoyed that, because I've been, you know, my mother has brought us up in a, you know, very well brought up, and we are taught to behave in a certain way. So I was suddenly like, oh, I can do what I want. You know, once Advait says action, I can just freak out. So that is fun. Yeah.
There's got to be a lot of pleasure in being that kind of asshole jerk kind of person. But what about the cops? The cop, you know, Kiran, I don't know, everyone knows who these actors are, since you had to pick non-stars. But clearly each one has a certain story, and I don't know if everyone else had an input as well into this.
So I was very keen to play the cop, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I even screen tested for it. And it was a pretty good screen test match. If I may say so myself. But then after discussing it, Kiran and I felt that we should go with someone who's, you know, who we can draw no expectations from. So when you're watching the film, if it's a star there, then, you know, you would expect him to do something at the ass. And so we decided not to go with that. But it was a very, you know, tempting role to play. Yeah, because I was planning to look quite different, you know. So I would look equally sleazy, and I think I would have convinced you all.
Yeah, the casting process, actually, that's a very exciting process, you know, because it would have been given the film obviously a huge, different kind of mainstream appeal had he played the cop. But with everybody else being cast so sort of real and authentically for the part, it just having him there, I felt, could tip the balance in maybe not in our favor, because you kind of give away that he was going to do something important, towards the end, which we didn't want happening. But we had a wonderful casting director called Romil, and we were casting during the 2021 big lockdown.
Oh, wow.
So all our tapes came, obviously on the internet. Someone from their dining table, someone from their terrace, self-testing and sending their auditions in. And we had certain, obviously, requirements where the two girls needed to be roughly the same height and build. The boys needed to be the same. But other than that, we were, obviously I was casting to find the absolute, sort of soul of the character, which especially for Pool, who doesn't say anything for so long, you really need to feel everything from her face and her sort of body language. So it was a long, extensive, but really fun casting process. I ended up casting these three for whom it is their debut film. All the three. Yeah, they've done work before this, but this was their first film. And then, of course, they were also bolstered by much more experienced actors like, Ravi Kishan, who's done 500 films, and Chaya Kadam also, who's a well-known actor. A lot of the others, what are kind of smaller parts, are also quite well-known actors, some of them, and some of them, again, very unknown or new. And some non-actors as well. So we had a lot of fun casting it. We had a lot of trouble also, because also the actors got COVID right before we were going to shoot. So we recast some of these actors on the go, including the main antagonist, Pradeep.
Wow.
Yeah, 1.5 days before shooting. Bhaskar Jha made his way to Shildi. Yeah, so it was a really it was fun. It was a great casting process, and we workshopped. We had a lot of readings. I really wanted to, because they all come from different acting sort of skill sets and styles and backgrounds. So in order to kind of get them to all be around the tone that I wanted to achieve, it really helped that they gave me the time to work with them. And so we did a lot of rehearsals and workshops.
Maybe you can talk about, P.P. and I was also kind of rural training. This is something that you do combat when you have the Pani Foundation. So this is quite unusual for majors for a big production company and for you to make this. What is the importance of the rural market, the rural audience, rural issues, and how because this is not very common. It's not what you see in a lot of films. Do yourself.
Well, so the market in rural India for films theatrically is not very developed. But of course, people in rural India get to watch films when they come on satellite and free television. But I mean, so it's not connected at all. I mean, I feel that these scenes, in this case, both Kiran and I do have a bit of a leaning towards agricultural work since we started Pani Foundation. So here was a script in which it kind of organically came in.
Yeah, next one. Can you tell them about Pani Foundation?
Oh, okay. So Pani Foundation is a non-profit company that Kiran and I started about, I think, 8 years ago. And we work in rural Maharashtra. We began by doing work in watershed management with villages across the state. And then now we've moved to agriculture as well. So that's work we've been doing with. It's a huge learning experience, and it's a very
highly rewarding.
Yeah, highly rewarding work. So I think it came naturally into this story.
We wrote it in. I mean, actually, that was something that I asked Sneha to do because she could have been studying anything, and agriculture really isn't a very, I don't know, sexy kind of subject. She would have wanted to be a Shen, right? I mean, that's the main thing I want to. It was. We thought it would be nice. I mean, Sneha and I that she goes to study it. And then we stuck in these non-pesticide management techniques like the sticky trap. There were more, but I edited them out. It's like becoming a class. Yeah.
So anything, maybe we should end with, looking ahead. What's ahead? What can you talk about? And what are the, we had long lines here. I would say try to keep your questions short so that we can get as many. We have 15 minutes for that. We'll go back and forth.
One question each.
One question.
And let's get to the question quickly.
Yes. Okay, we start. Yeah.
Hi, hello. Hello, AAMIR sir and Kiran ma'am. Firstly, thank you so much for dropping by. Oh, wow. I was saying, firstly, thank you so much.
Oh, these lines. Oh, I get it now. Okay. Right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. What's your name again?
My name is Shashwat. I'm a student at the School of Cinematic Arts over here. And firstly, thank you so much for dropping by at USC. I haven't seen so many Indians congregate under the same roof since I booked on it. So thank you so much for coming here, firstly. My question is that throughout the process of developing this film, wrecking through the terrains of India and casting, and then finally going and shooting the film, did you discover something new about an India which people like us who reside in big urban cities aren't aware of or are alien to? Did you gain a new perspective on India after?
Well, it's not in this film, because this film actually Kiran was helping right through, and I didn't go for location recce's. I was not there on location. Of course, I was very involved at each stage, but I wasn't doing the digging really. I was doing more the brainstorming with Kiran after that. But I think my experience of Bhani Foundation really has taught me so much, because that has really got both of us connected to rural India in a very deep way. And I mean, there's so much that I could talk about that, but the one thing that strikes me each time I go to a village in Maharashtra is I always come back with this thought that, I was privileged to be born in a city like Mumbai with education that I could, had access to, and had access to so many things so the guy sitting, under the temple in a village, probably playing carom, there is no difference between him and me. The only difference is that he was born here and I was born somewhere else. So, that realization always hits me very strongly. And that kind of makes me realize that all of us we're the same, and we should try and look at each other that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And best of luck for the Oscars.
That's it.
Hi, my name is Yasha. I'm also a student at Cinematic Arts, and I love Laapataa Ladies. It's like fantastic film. Congratulations for the Oscar run. And I've been talking about this film since like the release of this film. It's so good. I love it. My question to you is, there are so many small details in the film which is like so good and on point. Like the wrapping paper on the gifts, right? Even those were like so accurate. I want to know your research process and how do you approach your stories? Because I've seen there's like so strong research in your films.
I mean, that's the stuff I really love about filmmaking, honestly. The detail is everything for me. That makes the process, that's what I enjoy most about the process, actually. Whether it's colors, whether it's every single little prop, what goes on walls, what they'll wear, every little gesture that they make with their faces. I geek out like hugely on all of it. So I'm so glad that you noticed and that people had noticed the details. I've had a wonderful production designer who gave in to my every demand with this peaceful smile on his face. He's an absolutely lovely guy called Vikram Singh, who would not bat an eyelid if I looked at like a whole house that he painted and go like, I don't like the color, I'm so sorry. And then he'd be like, no worries. So, I had a crew and a team that supported everything, would go into the detail of like which phone, which fax machine, what kind of paper would he be looking at, the folders. It was a team that did it. And, honestly allowed me to dream and do it in detail. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to ask you about the Oscars campaign, which you guys are currently doing, and then kind of like the process on how the film board like selects the film to be as part of India's official entry. Because I'm also a student here, and I also study film, and some of us in the film in the Indian filmmakers that group, you kind of like disappointed because we hope that a film which won the Grand Prix at Cannes would get into the official selection. But that did not happen. So like, kind of like just like understanding that, how does that change the Oscars campaign for you guys? And how are you trying to like run that career? And just like how unexpected the film board back home is in just like selecting its films. And we don't know which one is going to get one. So just like from wanting to know your thoughts on that.
Well, a board called the Film Federation of India selects films, and every year they put a jury together of national awardees. All the members have to have won a national award in cinematic art. So they'd be editors, screenwriters, sound designers, actors, directors. This year, Janu Barua, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a very awarded Assamese filmmaker who was the head of the jury. And films, I think, across the country can submit to the FFI, but I mean, it's generally you just have to have fulfilled certain criteria, and they make a selection of films. This year, I think it was like 26 films, I think. And then they deliberate and they decide on what film to send.
Quick note, I mean, since the process does seem quite arbitrary, but Palko Pariya's film is going to be playing in many theaters. And it's really interesting, I think, that we have two films that are prominent with women directors, and both of them emphasizing female friendship. So I think that just stands for India representing this kind of solidarity, which I think politics makes things competitive, but there's a lot to be said for the kind of ways in which the industry is funded today.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Pranav. Thank you so much for being here. I'm also a film student. Sorry, there's a lot of us. When I wanted to ask a question, my first question was going to be for AAMIR sir and ask, because I love Three Idiots, I was going to say, can you give us the definition of a machine? I was like, that's a dumb question. So my actual question is, I think the strength of the film is really the moments in between where, things like Abdul revealing that, he has legs, he's things like that get a lot of laughs from, us. So I actually wanted to ask you about your editing process, Kiran ma'am, about how did you decide, obviously with the cast that's this talented, how did you kind of decide which moments to keep and which moments to, get rid of and which ones to really highlight? Because I thought there was a real strength in the movie for me.
Thank you. It was one of the harder things actually to edit because a comedy is very tricky to edit. I took a while to kind of find the rhythm of the humor, of, lines that were sounding a little too on the nose, were paring down anything that sounded preachy. And actually one of the processes that really helped me was what we do at AKP, which is testing a film. And we test with a completely non-film audience. So different groups of people, they'd be, we generally have them in sort of maybe young people all together, people from like working class people, people from the chartered accountants, all kinds of different types of people. And that really helps us kind of watch it with them, see what the reactions are, talk to them after, and improve the cut and decide whether, we really need to hold on to something, whether it's working, whether it's not, and helps you find, and then you have the unfun job of killing your darlings and taking out like some things that you absolutely love. But I had also the luxury of time on this to be able to edit it really, get to the point where I really loved it. There was a very tricky change actually in the beginning of the film. The song you hear at the end used to be in the beginning. So it used to kind of give a very sort of different starting point to the film. It felt much slower and more, a bit sad. So we kind of moved it to the end, and the song works really beautifully at the end, and we created a much shorter, more upbeat beginning, and I couldn't have done that if I had had the time to really work after cut. And I feel that is what we sometimes lack. Actually, I have to say, and I've never said this before, but AAMIR, we were waiting on AAMIR giving us time to watch the cut. Yeah. And actually, the wait really helped because I had nothing to do. So my editor had gone off, she was working on something else, and I would just be watching it. And I really, this idea of changing the beginning game is one of those periods when I was sitting around actually just watching it, trying to, sort of trim things. And I was like, what are we doing wrong? Why is the beginning, as fast as we cut it, it's still not settling in? And
What's the date of the premise? So in the initial testings, the feedback that we got was that the film is taking too long to take off. And we could also see that the audience has not reacted the way we would have liked them to all the various moments. We thought the humor should have kicked in much earlier. And we tried trimming it, and Kiran did various cuts. I sat with her, but the reaction never changed. And that's when Kiran came down to me one day, and she gave on to this idea, that she said that, the song in the beginning, Dheeme Dheeme Chale Purvaiya, this used to start the film. So it was putting the audience in a certain frame of mind. It was a nice song, great song, but it's putting them in a dip. And that's what we realized, and then we said, let's just move the song out of this and then see what happens. And the moment we remove a song, the sound plays such an important part. When that song got removed from there, then the beginning completely changed. The way people were reacting to the scenes altered and everything changed.
And the song had a whole video which I had to cut out entirely.
Exactly. So these kind of things you realize when you do rigorous testing.
When your producer makes you wait. Do you watch the card? Did you watch faithfully? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nandini and I'm a student here at SC as well. Firstly, congratulations for your entry to the Oscars. My question is, when you try to achieve successful storytelling, it is very important to connect to your audience. How did you ensure to maintain authenticity when telling this narrative of these two rural girls and their agency and their plight?
Sorry, just tell me, repeat your question.
How did you make such a good film?
Oh.
Am I right? Yeah. More or less.
More or less. How did you maintain authenticity when you were trying to represent the plight and agency that rural women have?
Yeah. The story had everything there. I think I struggle to answer this sometimes because it was mine to imagine what this village would be, what these girls would be like. Though it's set in a certain period, it was something that I guess I just instinctively, intuitively did it. I don't know how I maintained there's something. I guess I had a great script to start with, and I tried to do my best to kind of, bring to life that story and create this. We created our own state called Nirmal Pradesh. And then, so we didn't have to be purely authentic in that sense. We kind of made a little bit of our own rules of what they would do as rituals and, So I guess, it helped that I had that freedom to do it my way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, just based on time, this has to be our last question. I'm sorry.
We'll take a couple more.
But
okay.
No, absolutely. Okay, we'll do one more on that side then. When the Q&A wraps, we want to take a group photo. Okay, so just everyone stay in your seats so that we can set that up and take the picture, and then everyone can reach out and you can share the rules.
आप लाइन में गलत जगह खड़े हैं मैं क्या करूं Is it okay if we ask the question? Aye, ab aage. So we take yours as well, don't worry.
थैंक यू सर। सर इस पूरी फिल्म में वैसे तो हम बहुत प्यार करते हैं आपको, आपकी पहली फिल्म से मैं आपकी फिल्म में देखता आ रहा हूँ।
अंग्रेजी में बात करें तो सब लोग समझेंगे शायद।
ओके सर, मीज बट आई थिंक आई कैन टॉक बेटर इन Hindi.
Okay.
But I'll try to talk in English. So the best scene of this movie, which nobody has talked about, can anybody tell me what is the best scene?
The question should
Just one scene. Which one? You know that Ghungat thing. Ghungat has played a very big role in this movie. Because of Ghungat, it was becoming so difficult to recognize those girls. At the same time, you have shown a glimpse of that what they call it, burqa. That burqa thing, but yes, आपके प्रति हमारी सबकी शिकायत रही है कि आप हिंदुओं के तो सब कमियां दिखाते हैं लेकिन इस्लाम की नहीं। लेकिन ये छोटा सा सीन जो आपने दिखाया
Until after bullet, your short question is there? Hello, AAMIR Kiran Rao Jyoti Deshpande. Thanks for coming tonight. My question is about the initial script. So, when you're looking for a script industry, is there something you really try to see, or is it more based on intuition? Thank you.
So when I'm reading a script, I have no preconceived notions in mind. I'm not looking for anything particular. I'm just, very openly reading what is offered to me. And if I connect with it, if it excites me, if it moves me, touches me, makes me laugh or cry, then I know that I would like to be a part of it. So it's really on my own instinct. Yeah.
So cool. Oh my God, this is I'm extremely grateful, and I'm not a cinematic student. I'm just a normal person who loves. This is like a very emotional moment for me because I watched your movies Lagan, and I loved the movie Allah Zafna Apna. I posted so very texture, very. And when you say Bogoji Afsa Ghagra, I really like the funniest thing ever. So I don't have a question. I just wanted to talk.
What's your name?
Neha Shinde. I'm from Pune.
Oh, to me.
And I was wondering, so in the day, can I ask for a special selfie with you?
Yeah, I think you're going to take a photograph, right? For everyone.
So just with you?
Just with you and me? Okay, let's try that after I finish.
Can I, maybe one thing I can say, Alex, if this is okay?
Without any answers right now, maybe we can just take 3 quick questions on each side, just the questions, or do we have to make it?
I think the night really is.
Yeah.
Set.
Okay, sorry.